stupid retard? You can't even let me speak, you idiot. Sorry. Go ahead.
Can you speak, you fucking idiot?
On that one. Hey, you guys are so dumb.
Yeah.
You got me only 16
This didn't just happen by accident. This keeps happening over and over again. At this point, his reputation isn't just bad, it's locked in and getting worse every time he shows up. And the craziest part? None of it feels random anymore. Every moment, every situation, it all starts to look planned. Like if it brings views or money, he's willing to go all the way, no matter how messy it gets. What he's doing now barely even feels like real content anymore. It feels planned out, like every moment has to top the last one just to keep people hooked. Things really flipped when his ex-girlfriend came out with that 5-hour interview, breaking down everything she claims went on behind closed doors. She described a relationship that wasn't just toxic, but controlled, where affection felt fake, where contracts and NDAs kept her stuck, and where her value slowly turned into how much money she could bring in. And while all that was blowing up, Jack didn't slow down for a second, not even a little bit. Same pattern, showing up to events he wasn't invited to, jumping into drama with other creators, pushing situations just enough to get a reaction. None of it felt real, just setups for clips and attention.
Literally was excited over the fact that we were going to make the most money we have ever made in our lives. It wasn't because he was excited to have a baby with me and have a family and start a new era.
Somewhere along the way, respect completely disappeared from the picture. It became all about visibility, and this didn't just happen overnight either. Jack Doherty has been moving like this for a while now. Early on, it was bothering random people in public, then stepping back when things got heated and letting security handle it. But over time, everything got louder, messier, and way more chaotic. The streams got wilder, the situations got more out of control, and eventually, the audience changed too. People stopped laughing and started watching differently, because attention doesn't stay neutral, it shifts. And for him, it flipped all the way. Now when something goes wrong, people aren't feeling bad. They're actually satisfied watching it happen. You'll see comments like, "Every day when Jack is having a bad day is a good day." And even, "When I saw you lost everything, I smiled." Reactions like that don't just appear out of nowhere. They build up over time from repeated patterns. People keep noticing everything, and the last time he went viral didn't help at all. If anything, it made everything look even worse. He even tried to fake a robbery, then spiraled out in public after the breakup and went as far as calling the police.
We're not hiding anywhere. Like, we were in a party bus, like very out in the open. And I was sitting in my seat, every type of thing, freaking out, so much anxiety. And then I hear the car door open. And I pop my head up and I'm like, okay, everyone's back, like finally time to go. When I looked up from the seat, I make eye contact with the guy I'd never seen before in a surgical mask. Like, it wasn't the two guys in shiesties that I had seen, it was a guy with a bag, a gun.
But while everything was playing out, it didn't feel random or shocking. It felt staged, forced, like the ending mattered more than what was actually going on. People already had some idea why McKinley Richardson left, but the full story didn't come out until that interview. In October 2025, she sat down with Camilla Rouge, someone who knew his circle, and spoke in detail about everything. It came out in 2 long parts, packed with claims that showed a completely different side of him. And most of it pointed back to one thing: his obsession with content. Not just creating it, but pushing situations way past the limit just to keep the views rolling in.
I'm exhausted. Like, how does your life, like, how do you continue to do this? And he was like, it's Adderall. Like, you should try. He was like, you will be successful. I'm not proud of it at all, but I had a horrible Adderall addiction dating him because of him telling me I needed to keep up with him. And also, it's like when Jack's face is somewhere, I was always there. I had to keep up.
Looking back, there were signs of this way before all of that, like the McLaren crash. Instead of stopping to check on his injured friend, or even pausing for a second, he grabbed the camera. One comment claimed he crashed going 71 miles per hour while reading chat on a rainy highway, then handed the camera to his injured friend to keep filming. That moment didn't just seem reckless, it completely changed how people saw him, and it didn't stop there. She also described an incident from August at a takeover event in Los Angeles.
Stuff?
I think.
What the fuck?
Oh no! I said first my baggies to get your fucking bag.
He took your purse?
I don't know.
McKinley, where?
Oh my god!
Where's the key? Where's the key? Okay.
But that was the most real trauma.
There were crowds, street racing, chaos everywhere. After moving between locations, she stayed back on the tour bus because something felt off. Then, while she was alone, someone got inside.
And I looked at him. He said, "Who's in this party bus?" I didn't think he knew I was in there. So when I popped up and like made eye contact with him, I thought maybe it would spook him and that he would like get out. And then I saw him hop over the seat into the van. And in this van, like, you're able to stand up fully straight up. He started running towards me, and I was like, I'm dead. Like, this is the time I like either get like, you know, killed or something horrible. And I just remember saying like, please, no. Like, I just was begging him. I was like, you can have everything, like, of mine. You can have my purse, you can have my money. I couldn't find my purse anywhere. I was like, where the fuck is it? I was like, please help me.
In that moment, it wasn't about content. It was fear, real fear. Her belongings were taken, and it could have gone way worse. When she called Jack, shaken and expecting support, it didn't go how she thought it would. According to her, it turned into content again. Even when she asked him to stop filming, he kept going. For her, it was serious. For him, it was something to capture. That gap says everything.
I didn't think it was funny. I guess they were just like, because Jack had never brought up OnlyFans to me, so it was like, because he made everyone else do it. Very awkward. Yeah, he made everyone else do it. Which was, it's sad looking back on it because that was something I respected. I was like, I respect the fact that he cares about my beliefs and he understands that.
Then there's an older stream from November 2023, a golf cart flip with her sitting right next to him. At the time, people brushed it off as reckless, maybe just a bad decision. But she claims it wasn't an accident, that it was intentional. If that's true, it changes everything about how that moment is seen. What made it hit even harder was what came after. She said he downplayed the whole thing, acted like nothing serious happened, and tried to convince her she was fine. She ended up going to the hospital by herself. And only after that did he finally show up. But even then, it didn't come across like real concern. It felt more like he was there for the camera than for her. On screen, everything looked calm and normal, like nothing was wrong. But behind the scenes, she described arguments going way too far and situations that didn't match what people thought they were seeing.
Access to my accounts and all of this stuff, the disrespect started showing. Like, he was not as respectful as he was in the beginning. A dinner, you could forget about it. We never went on dates. We never did anything like how we did in the past. He was strictly just, you know, content. So I was like, how do you keep up with all of this stuff?
That gap, the public version versus the private reality, is where everything starts to shift. Because in the beginning, she said it wasn't like that at all. He treated her well, made her feel safe, made her feel valued. There was a time when she genuinely believed in the relationship and even saw a future there. Even knowing his online persona, she thought that side stayed online and didn't spill into real life.
Toxic in the beginning, why was I with him? But he wasn't. He was amazing. And I want people to know that, like, I didn't put myself in a toxic situation, but he was so different in the beginning. And I know, like, what people see of him online, like, it's obviously negative and all this stuff, but that wasn't who I fell for. It was not that. It was a protector. It was a provider. It was someone that had respect for me and, you know, just made sure I was okay and opening the car door for me, taking me out to dinner. Very respectful.
She was willing to accept parts of his lifestyle as long as she didn't get pulled into it. But over time, things started changing. Not all at once, but enough to notice. His priorities became clearer. More focus on content, more focus on money, and less on everything else. And when she started pushing back, that's when things reportedly shifted even more. the pressure didn't hit all at once. It built slowly, step by step, until it became impossible to ignore. And if her version is accurate, it adds a whole new layer to how everything started. Not random, not accidental, more like trust came first, then closeness, then expectations. By the time that shift became obvious, she was already deep in it. After talking things through with him, she believed she could stay separate from that world, maybe even influence where things were going. But from her perspective, that idea didn't last long. It started to feel like everything was already mapped out, like the outcome was decided before she even had a real say in it. He may not have directly forced her to sign anything, but the situation around it tells a different story. When someone is constantly under pressure, emotionally pulled in, and made to feel like they owe something, the line between choice and obligation starts to blur. It doesn't happen loudly, it shifts quietly, but completely. And according to her, the contract only made that shift more obvious. She claimed it gave him control over her social platforms and a large share of her future earnings. Not just collaboration, but control. And once that line gets crossed, everything after that looks different. For McKinley, that's where things reportedly started to fall apart. And it happened fast. In the beginning, she described that intense love-bombing phase. Constant attention, non-stop affection, everything feeling almost too perfect to even question. But the moment she signed, that version of him, according to her, disappeared just as fast as it showed up. The change didn't creep in slowly. It hit all at once. Everything suddenly shifted toward money and content output. It became all about what could be gained, what could be turned into something bigger, and what would keep the momentum going. At the same time, she said another side of him started coming out, less controlled and way more unpredictable.
And he didn't seem surprised whatsoever. He was like, W. He literally was excited over the fact that we were going to make the most money we have ever made in our lives. It wasn't because he was excited to have a baby with me and have a family and start a new era of our life. It was, oh my gosh, we're going to start a family YouTube channel and you're going to make so much money when you're pregnant and you have a pregnant.
She claimed he was using prescription stimulants without a clear reason, and that energy didn't stay with just him. According to her, that same non-stop pace got pushed onto everyone around him, including her. The schedule, the pressure, the expectation to keep going no matter what. It didn't ease up. When you look at it like that, the pattern starts to stand out. The chaos, the intensity, the constant need for attention, it all connects. Like one comment said, addicted to drugs, plus addicted to attention. And hearing it put that way really makes it hit harder. But even that didn't fully cover everything she described. She also alleged that he cheated, openly flirted with other women right in front of her, and repeatedly put her down both on camera and off. From her perspective, the relationship didn't feel genuine. It felt designed, like everything had a role and she was just part of the setup. And nothing made that clearer than one moment she said changed everything. At one point, she tested positive on a pregnancy test. For most people, news like that stops everything. It forces a real reaction, something honest. She expected at least a brief shift, something real in that moment. But according to her, that's not what happened. She claimed his focus went straight back to content planning, what it could become, how it could be used. And right there, the gap between them wasn't small anymore. It was impossible to ignore. No pause, no change, just priorities showing loud and clear. After talking it through with people she trusted, she decided not to move forward with the pregnancy, saying she didn't want to bring a child into that kind of situation. That choice became a major turning point, and everything after that seemed to shift even faster. Before going further, it's important to keep things in perspective. While a lot of Jack's behavior has been public for years, not every claim from that podcast came with clear proof. Some people online have pointed that out, questioning parts of her story and the decisions she made afterward. At the same time, a huge portion of the audience still believes her, mostly because of patterns they feel they've already seen. A direct response from Jack Doherty could change how people see all of this, but so far, he hasn't fully addressed it, and staying quiet isn't helping his situation at all. The backlash hasn't slowed down anywhere. Whether it's YouTube, TikTok, or anywhere else, the comments are flooded with people calling him out or demanding accountability. And it's not just words either. The numbers are shifting. Views that used to come easy are starting to drop, and the change is noticeable. It hasn't stayed online either. It's followed him into real life. One of the clearest moments was at TwitchCon. He tried to get in by using one of the women around him to distract security. It worked for a second, but not for long.
I got him. Hey, yo, you don't want to go neither. Back up. I'm just saying I got him. Back up. Don't worry about it. Back up. Yo, back up. Yo. Where you going? Back up. Chill. Go to the sidewalk now. Go to the sidewalk now. You want to go with him? You're funny. You want to be fucking funny. Go to the sidewalk now. You want to be funny? Say to get on the street, go on the fucking street. Who the fuck do you think you are, bro? I'm getting out. No, you're fucking not. He was trying after I fucking do this. Who the fuck are you, bro? I was trying to walk up the street, but doesn't matter, bro. All you had to do was get in the fucking sidewalk. That's it.
Within minutes, security stepped in and removed him. No chaos, no big scene, just a quiet exit that said everything. Instead of backing off, he kept pushing even further. More comments, more attempts to provoke reactions, still chasing attention. When Peach Jars called him out, he tried to turn it into a moment, but she didn't play along. She walked away, and that silence hit harder than anything he could have said. Then things escalated again. Soulja Boy approached him in the crowd and started pressing him about past crypto situations and claims about fans losing money. Direct questions, no way to dodge it, no way to spin it. That pressure started to show, and not long after, he lashed out again. And it didn't stop there. Another creator, Cam Joseph, confronted him right in front of a crowd, putting him in a spot he couldn't control. Later, that moment spread all over the internet, getting even more attention. All of this happened in a single night, and instead of things calming down, they kept getting worse. At this point, he's become an easy target. People walk up to him, say whatever they want, and the crowd reacts instantly, louder every time. But even with all of that happening, some people still feel like it doesn't match the level of consequences they expected, and that gap is keeping the situation alive. For a moment, it actually looked like things might change. On November 15th, he was arrested in Florida for possession of illegal substances, something a lot of people immediately connected back to earlier claims. He tried to stay calm, act like it wasn't a big deal. But this time, there was no buffer, no one stepping in, no reset button to press. It all played out in public, and it stuck. But less than a day later, he was out on bail and almost instantly back online again. Same patterns, same energy. No pause, no reflection, just straight back to it, like nothing even happened. The situation isn't finished though, not even close. There's still a real chance of legal consequences ahead, and depending on how things play out, it could get serious fast. And even if it doesn't go that far, even if things end up lighter than expected, the damage is already there. His reputation isn't something that just resets overnight, and now it's starting to show in his career. The audience has shifted. People aren't tuning in to support anymore. They're watching to react, to criticize, to catch the next thing that goes wrong. And when that's the kind of attention you're getting, it doesn't last forever. Once it fades, there's nothing solid underneath to hold everything up. And that's when everything really starts to collapse. So now the real question is, where does this go from here? Does he turn it around, or is it already too far gone to fix? Let me know what you think. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you hit subscribe because this situation isn't slowing down anytime soon.